Welcome back to Business Week here on Arise News. I'm joined now by Ibaru, CEO of North Court Real Estate, to review some of our top stories in more detail. Welcome to the show, Ayo. Great to have you on. So we want to start with this EU law on artificial intelligence that's just come out. It's the first of its kind. Finally, we seem to have a global regulatory regime around AI. But how effective do you think it will be?
No, but really, are we surprised? You know, I've heard it said that the United States innovates, China replicates, and EU
regulates.
So
that's interesting.
It's what they are known for, and no one is surprised. In fact, they've already passed it in the first phase in September of 2024, August, and it will take effect in 2026.
Right.
So I think my concern is Mario Draghi did present a report in September of 2024, where he concluded, the people in the group concluded that ultimately 55 to 60% of business leaders, entrepreneurs in the EU consider the environment overregulated.
Okay, the environment generally.
It's completely regulated.
Okay.
So, and it's a reason why the EU is falling back in terms of its competitiveness.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
What you will find is a lot of the talent in the EU will move towards the US and take advantage of the H-1B, right? And start companies and grow businesses, and the EU will continue to fall behind. Yes, it's a good thing when you regulate environments, especially when they're new.
Yeah. Because
you have things like risks you have to think about.
Fraud, cybersecurity.
Thank you very much. Copywriting and privacy and so on and so forth. I mean, see what happened between OpenAI and DeepSeek, right?
Yeah.
OpenAI is complaining that DeepSeek is ripping off what they are doing, but then the legacy media is saying, but you did that to us.
Yeah.
And at the foundation, when you regulate new environments, if done properly, it accelerates growth.
Okay.
It accelerates growth, sorry, but I think it's a bit too early in the day.
To say.
We still need
because there's a risk of stifling innovation.
I mean, you are correct when you say it's a risk, but it's a proven conclusion.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a proven conclusion. And we see this in the number of tech talent leaving for the US. I mean, we need to realize that EU at some point was the center of innovation, whether it's Nokia, whether it's, a few other organizations. You still have guys like Shopify coming out of the EU. But in the end, they've all had to leave to the US. So I don't know. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, very, very interesting developments there, because I don't even remember when the EU was the center of innovation. That just goes to show how far back they've gone. But hey, these tariffs seem to be impacting not just, general goods and so, but also the housing. Yeah, the tariffs.
Oh dear.
The housing market. You're a real estate expert. Yes. Tell us about, there's fears around house prices in the US. Why should we even care?
I mean, what the US does, the world follows generally, even if it's to appear globally politically correct. Now, I did look at the analysis you gave, from the green room, and you are correct in that China, Mexico, and even Canadian lumber are at risk. But ultimately, we're looking at numbers from between $27,000 to $32,000 per house as an added cost because of this. Now, what will happen is, in the end, mortgages will be harder to close, construction will be slow. Developers would want to wait and see how this plays out, because we don't know what next Trump is going to do that will increase housing prices.
Yeah.
And what you will find is, I mean, look at when he said we are thinking of taxing our citizens globally. Within 48 hours, it was a discussion in Nigeria at some of the highest levels. So we can expect to see a knock-on effect on how the market operates in Nigeria. We just like to copy what they do, sometimes without even thinking it through.
Yeah, but I mean, on the flip side here, if we come to the local real estate market, we were at an event, your event during the week, where a tax specialist was talking about the benefits of the tax.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It was really good.
It was a very interesting panel discussion, but one of the things I remember was the discussion around how Nigeria's tax reform bill will impact the real estate sector.
Yes.
So we are actually looking at measures to stimulate our real estate sector. How do you read that in light of what is happening globally?
We are, but sometimes we blink in the dark, so to speak. And by that I mean, if we look at what the Honorable Minister for Housing, Urban Development did, when he went to the Saudi Real Estate Forum, and what was highlighted from what he said was the size of the market, the projections. And I think it's somewhat a tad disrespectful to the global investment market when you only tell them the size of your market. They know these things.
What else should you be telling them?
You should be telling them regulation. You should be telling them the ease of getting permits. the ease of getting your approvals. In Nigeria, you must be a powerful developer to get your approvals under 1 year. The standard time is 18 months.
That is just too long a time.
Rwanda is 9 days.
I mean, if you look at its cost inflation and building costs, it just doesn't make sense.
I mean, going back to said panel, we had one of our developers say he would rather go to a financial institution, get the funding
money to
at
build
30%.
Yes.
At 30% for a year. He's willing to take the bullet. And because he knows demand in Nigeria's real estate market is sure, it's strong. So it's good to say the numbers because it does give your fixed income seller group, something to say. You see how big our market is. But the real shrewd investors will want to know the efficiencies
of the market.
Yes,
yeah. And interesting, speaking of the market, so the market size estimated at over 3 trillion. I don't know what the actual figure is. But this demand is so resilient in this economy. And real estate has stood the test of time. Now the third largest contributor to GDP, I believe.
With our rebasing.
Yeah, well, with our rebasing. We haven't completed that process. But why is demand still so resilient, even at the luxury end of the market?
I mean, so my mom taught literature and she forced us to read quite a number of books. And one of them, I think, was titled My Mercedes is Bigger Than Yours.
Okay.
Exactly. Nigerians like to own things.
Right.
And it's even a global phenomenon. It's a global trend. You want to own your own home because, at the end of the average year, you're not receiving letters. Quite a number of Nigerians would have received this year suggesting a hike in rent. It's a place to build your family, to have your dreams come true, and to reduce your overall monthly expenses. So it's a very important thing to us. Yeah. And despite the number of Nigerians who have invested abroad, we still have strong demand from those in the diaspora looking to invest here in Nigeria. So we do have the capital, whether in bulk or in installments. We have cooperative systems that help us arrive at the payment for these houses. It's just important to us. It's almost next to,
Yeah, I mean, a house is such a fundamental existential thing. So I see what you're saying. Very quick commentary on the creation of the Creative and Tourist Infrastructure Corporation.
Roland, come on, you brought me here for this.
No. Look, it's very quick because you wanted to discuss the story. So there's an angle here.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought it up because when I saw the quote-unquote dirty December numbers coming in, I said the good people of the federal government will come up with something.
Okay.
And what you want to do is invest in what is working already. Because a few years ago, Netflix released a report and they compared 3 countries, South Africa, Nigeria, and I think Kenya. The reason SA got more investment from Netflix than we did was because SA already had infrastructure. So I like what they're doing, but put the money in the games, in a games village, in a film village. And then build that out. These things that they say they want to invest in my mind, are not presently attracting the right type of crowd. So what you want to do is back what is working already, and when the profit from that comes, you spread it. And you don't give us grand announcements and then come on.
Well, I mean, look, I think they understand there's a principle they're following. They may not have pinpointed and hit it on the mark, but what I like is the willingness to innovate and think outside the box, right?
Well,
we must give them that.
We are giving them that, but that's why we research these things. That's why you go through your points before coming here to speak to us, right? Yeah. You research thoroughly. Harvard did a 30-year study, and what they concluded with is this: nothing succeeds like success. Okay. You invest in what is working, and then when the funding comes out, you spread it across hospitality.
Fantastic. Yeah. I really love that quote. Nothing succeeds like success.
It's a Harvard 30-year study. So,
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So great talking to you, Ayo Ibaru of North Coast, giving us your real estate
Thank
insights.
you so much for having me.
And it'll be great to have you back on the show soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. That was Ayo Ibaru of North Court. Please check them out. One of the leading experts in the real estate market.